In today's world, kids are spending more time glued to screens than exploring the great outdoors. But the truth is, and you know this or you wouldn't be here listening, the best lessons in life don't come from a phone. They come from experience. They come from getting your hands dirty, building something from the ground up, learning resilience, teamwork, and self-reliance. That's exactly what 4-H camps offer, and today we're diving into how these programs are changing lives. I'm joined by two guys who know these camps inside and out, Jake Farmer and Kyle Comley. They've dedicated their lives, literally, because they started out as campers themselves, to making outdoor education fun, engaging, and most importantly, meaningful. We're going to talk about what makes these camps so special, how it helps the kids grow, and why parents should seriously consider getting their kids signed up for a 4-H camp. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to look at 4-H camps, some of the programs that are out there, and some of the events that these two guys are hosting, how 4-H camps work, exactly what you're going to do from the beginning of the day to the end if a kid comes to camp, the impact these camps have, what happens to the kids after they leave, and how it affects them. So stick around. By the end of this episode, you're not only going to understand why 4-H camps are so important, but you might just be inspired to get involved yourself. I am. So let's get into it. All right, Jake and Kyle, welcome to the show. Jake, tell us about yourself.
Hey, Greg. So my name's Jake Farmer. I am the camp director at North Central 4-H Camp. That's over here in Carlisle, Kentucky. We service about 27 counties in the north central part of the state of Kentucky. We serve a 10-week summer camping program, and we have about a 8-week environmental camp season that's pretty fantastic in both the spring and the fall. But here anyway, I've been here since I was 9. Grew up at this place. I fell in love with it, knew it was home, and I've been camping every year ever since here at North Central.
And Kyle,
Yeah,
tell us about yourself, please.
absolutely. I'm Kyle Comley. I'm the camp director here at Lake Cumberland 4-H Camp. We've run a 9-week summer session with 20 counties coming here from Jefferson County all the way down to Wayne County, Kentucky, on the border of Tennessee. We see roughly 2,500 to 3,000 kids a summer. And then in the off season, we have groups out here from church groups to, just any Skills USA, high school groups, various groups, and that kind of thing. So, and then some other programming here at Lake Cumberland 4-H Camp.
And for those that are, because we've got a lot of listeners, guys, that are outside of Kentucky. You both are in Kentucky. Tell everybody in general where these camps are in relationship to, let's say, Lexington, where a lot of people know where Lexington, Kentucky is. Jake, if you want to go first.
Sure. So we have a couple friends actually that are from Michigan, and they always teach us the old hand trick for Michigan. But the fun thing is you can turn it, and it's also Kentucky. So North Central is located right about here in Kentucky, and about the eastern
Okay.
part.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Kyle, where are you
Yeah.
located?
Yeah, we're about 2.5 hours southwest of that. Just because we're kind of very rural as far as where we are. So it's about 45 minutes to the interstate and then on up the interstate to Lexington from there. So yeah, we're a little bit of ways away from Lexington for sure.
And I'm assuming both you dudes were 4-H campers growing up, right? I think Jake said that, but both of you were, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
started in 91 as a camper coming off the school bus, and I've not missed a summer yet.
All right, lay it on me, Kyle. What's your favorite memory for 4-H camp as a kid, not as an adult, as a kid?
I'm gonna go pretty cliche here. I'll be honest. Getting to be in the cabin with my brother and spending that time with him and getting involved in 4-H with him has probably been the most special memory for me. Um,
Is this
as
an
far as
awe moment or something here? Oh,
Oh,
everybody say
well, I mean, there's a
awe.
lot of memories, but I mean
Yeah,
that
that is good
definitely
stuff, man.
that's my favorite one. Yeah.
softy.
All right,
Yeah.
Jake, favorite. Are you gonna
Uh,
have? Are
uh,
you gonna have an awe moment too?
Absolutely not. I'm going to turn up the ante here. It's a bit more adrenaline pumping. When I was a camper, there was a storm that was coming in, and so we decided to pull all the bunk beds into the middle of the cabin and play bunk bed volleyball while we were supposed to be laying down and catching some Z's. Our 4-H agent discovered that we were doing this and came over and banged on the door super loud and yelled at all of us and terrified us to go to sleep. Well, not an hour later, we get another bang on the door, and we're thinking, "Oh, great, what now?" The 4-H agent saying, "Grab your sleeping bag and go, 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 go." The camp siren is blaring. That means a tornado is coming. We're supposed to seek shelter in the basement of our dining hall. And we run with our sleeping bags, and the wind's pelting, and the clouds
Oh,
are all swirling
wow.
around. And the whole camp stayed for several hours in the basement of the dining hall, all crammed in, all several hundred of us just riding it out together. And it was wild. And a lot of people might sound like, to a lot of people, that sounds probably awful. But as a kid, it was incredible.
No,
Never
that
forget
sounds
it.
awesome to me. I bet that was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm glad nobody got hurt, obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, good
On
stuff.
this side of the table now, as the camp director, that kind of scenario terrifies me.
Oh, I'm sure.
It does.
Is
It
that
does.
is that common for you all now to be, now that you all are directors, to think about all the things that happened when you were in camp that are like, oh man, I can't believe that happened. I can't, I've got to, that does help you seriously though. I mean, mitigate risk and what have you. I'm assuming.
Uh, yeah, I would say 90% of our job in the summertime is figuring is how to be proactive versus reactive and trying
Right.
to mitigate as much risk. But when you're dealing with 9 to 14-year-olds, mitigating or trying to be proactive can be problematic at times.
Right. Good stuff. All right, guys. I definitely want to. I know I threw some questions at you, but we'll play along and do whatever we come to. I hope that's okay. Is that okay with you
Yeah,
guys?
absolutely.
Sure thing.
So I definitely want to cover not only just the camps, but some specific programming you guys do for youth and what have you. In my understanding, what you do, Jake, is what you refer to as the homesteading program. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so the homesteading program is a new concept this year that we've never really attempted before, but it's been in the works for a couple of years to get started. It's actually one of the reasons why I started attending Nature Reliance School, was to get some background knowledge under the feet and start to learn about this kind of stuff. But our homesteading preparedness camp is in October. It's October 11th and 12th. 2 separate days of programming, no overnight lodging, so you can pay for the one day or for both days, and come later on. But it's basically all surrounded around being self-reliant and being able to either, work and do things on homesteads or prepare in case of disaster. And so there are things covered such as water purification and storage, food preservation, navigation, tracking, hunter's ethics, all those types of tracks we hope to offer for that weekend. We're really excited about it. We got a lot of really awesome instructors already on board, including Nature Reliance School. Thank you all so much for volunteering for
Yeah.
that. And we've got some extension professionals that have volunteered. We've got a paramedic coming in for a stop the bleed course. We got a
Mm.
lot of diverse experience coming in to help lead that program.
So, what age group are coming in for that program again?
It's a great question. So typically our programming is youth focused, but with this program, we're going to open it up to general public. And so
Oh,
it's going to be
wow.
a
Okay.
registration process. We'll cap registrations per day, but it'll be first come, first serve registration process and open to anybody that wants to learn these concepts.
And do you already have a website set up to receive those registrations?
What we typically do is we run through Qualtrics. We don't have that set up just yet, but we plan to release registrations before summer kicks off because that's when our chaos really ensues.
Okay, so what I'll do, everybody that's listening, is and I'm going to talk to Kyle here in a minute too, but I'll have links in the description below for everybody. So you know how to get in contact with both Jake and Kyle for the things that we'll be talking about today. Because I like to do that so you all will have, just, you don't have to go Google searching and getting on social media. We'll just have a clickable link. You all hit it, you can get connected with Jake and Kyle at their respective locations and their respective programming. That way you can get yourself, your kiddos, whoever it is that you want to get involved in this. Okay, let me get back to that. I want to make sure I say that to everybody that's listening. When So whole families can come out to this thing, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you
That's
don't
encouraged.
have to be. You mentioned just disaster readiness. You don't necessarily have to live on a homestead to do this stuff.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
Okay.
we know people that raise beds in the city in an apartment. You can take these concepts and apply them to your situation. That's what's great.
And it's not doomsday prepper type stuff. It's basically, I like the words that you use, self-reliance. So basically, people just learning how to take care of themselves so that we're not necessarily needing, hey, we don't have to go to the grocery store this week. We've had a tornado, the weather's knocked electricity out or whatever for a week, and we're good. Ice storm or whatever. Am I saying that correctly?
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely. It's
Okay.
not doomsday prepper type stuff. I suppose if that was your hobby, you could apply it to that, but it's mostly to help folks be self-sustaining and be able to prevent tragedy during tragedy.
So is there going to be a specific tract in this particular training where you had to pick up a sleeping bag and run down to the dining hall and see who's the fastest and stuff like that?
Everybody has to do that before lunch, just as part of
Okay.
the thing. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's just part, because, hey, man, that's real good training. Obviously, we need to know that, or you all did.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
What else, Jake, about the homesteading program do you want to talk about? What am I missing?
Yeah. So we're still on the lookout for a couple of instructors for some of the tracks. So if you do know somebody, or if you yourself are listening and you're thinking, oh, hey, I think I could probably teach that, you want to reach out to me. My direct email is jake.farmer@uky.edu. We're looking for a few folks with water purification specifically, and food preservation specifically. Those are the two big ones. I don't have anybody locked down just yet. Oh, we got somebody.
You got somebody for water purification. Nature Reliance School will
Woo!
handle that for you, I'm sure.
Fantastic.
I'm getting a pen to write some notes so I make sure I get all this stuff in there. So, when you say you mentioned something that some of our listeners might not understand, I should have brought this up. Is you mentioned extension? Can you explain to people what extension is?
Absolutely. So the extension service, every county in the state of Kentucky, all 120 counties have a county extension office and typically a county extension agent. Extension agents have different specialties. Like we have our 4-H youth development agents. We also have our agriculture agents and our family and consumer sciences agents. They're basically all run through the University of Kentucky, and they put on programming to educate their communities. So whatever you can think of, ranging from cooking classes to tree ID to whatever it might be that you can think of, they can offer this basically agriculture focused education and things like that.
Sure. Nice. Good stuff.
Say Kyle might be able to add anything to that. I'm not sure, but he does have a brother that he loves so much in extension.
Yeah, that's where I'm going next is to Kyle. So, unless I'm missing something, Jake, anything you want to talk about the
No, that's
homesteading
great as far
program?
as
We'll talk about
homesteading and
okay. All
perfect.
right,
Yeah.
cool. All right, Kyle, let's go with the let's talk about 60th anniversary of no, it's not 60th anniversary of your program, is it? That's Jake's, isn't it?
That's Jake.
Did we miss that, Jake? Were you supposed to talk about that?
Well, I didn't know if we were ping ponging back and forth or not, but I
All
can
right,
keep
forget
talking
you.
on it.
Be
That's no
quiet for a
problem.
second. Be quiet for a second. I'll come back to you then. Let's ping pong. That sounds good.
Yeah.
The OAC. Tell us
The
what
OA,
OAC
the
is.
OAC, Outdoor
Yo, the
Adventure Camp.
OAC.
The OAC. That's right. That's right. Yeah, this is we're coming up on our third year. Crazy enough that we've been doing this program. Outdoor Adventure Camp is for middle and high school age youth to come in and learn survival skills, basic living skills as well. Anything from tracking to water purification to cleaning a fish or any and everything in between. Um, so they come in for essentially an overnight program. They'll take a few classes on the first day. We typically like to have a special program at the end of the night on the first day, and then we wake up the second day and do a couple more classes. And then one thing that we started to do based on our experience, going through courses with Nature Reliance School is how do we bring this all together? So I think one of the cool things that we started doing last year was developing a group kind of test at the end to showcase the skills that they've learned throughout the week end or that 24-hour period. Um, and that includes just building a shelter, building a fire, boiling water, um, to, how to identifying edible plants that are out in the woods and things like that. Um, and we've had several kids that have retaken the class, and in fact, we had a young person this weekend um, who is coming for the third time. She's come every year.
Nice.
So, and that's kind of what we want. We want that continuation, but we also want, some of the newer our new kiddos to come out as well and
Sure.
learn how to respect and appreciate the outdoors. So it's a big part of that program.
Yeah, we've been doing it with you guys for the whole time, which we're
Yeah,
very thankful that we've had the opportunity to work with you all on that. It's one of them things the instructors look forward to. Those of us that come down and play with the kiddos.
yeah,
One of the things that
yeah,
I like is this idea of the overnight because they get to go out and do stuff at night too, which is
yeah,
always cool. And campfire time, I mean, you cannot put a price tag on campfire time for any of this stuff.
yeah,
It's fantastic.
yeah.
So what do you think is the biggest benefit for the campers other than just the acquisition of knowledge that they get at something like the outdoor adventure camp?
I think of the acquisition of knowledge as kind of a secondary portion. I think the primary objective is honestly getting kids outdoors and putting them in situations where they get to learn and grow and appreciate the environment which they live in, and seeing that grow throughout, even through the first couple of years, through seeing the people that have come back every year, um, seeing that growth and appreciation, seeing those kids come to summer camp and take nature class and outdoor living skills and do those types of things. Um, that's our primary goal, is to get our kiddos outdoors and getting them to start appreciating how wonderful it is to just spend time out in the woods learning new things.
And again,
So,
this is not just for kids that live in a rural part of
no,
Kentucky. I mean, this is like big city, Louisville,
yeah.
Lexington kids too. I mean, they're going to enjoy this too, right?
Yeah, we started off small that first year. We
Mm.
wanted, kind of a tester year. So we had about 6 counties, and then last year we opened it up a little bit more. But this year we've actually opened it up statewide
Oh
as a
wow!
program. Yeah. So
Thanks for letting me know, man. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to get some more instructors
I
down there.
know. I should yeah, I should have said something to you and Davey and some of the other cadre that might be there. But yeah, we have opened it up statewide, and we've already gotten participants from counties that we've never had before. So
Oh, nice,
it's
fantastic.
starting to, I want it to grow, but as much as I want it to grow, I want there to be this growing appreciation of, the environment and the outdoors, and learning that lesson of giving back as much as you take, that
Yeah, because this
that
is
we talk about.
one of the things that I think you guys being camp directors and the extension service and 4-H and all the stuff that I think are fantastic at doing is okay. These kids, adults come to these programs, they have a good time, they make memories, but they leave with something that they apply after they leave. And it has been my experience working with you all that seems to be, I don't know if you all just do it very naturally, but you all are good at doing that, making sure that these kiddos are leaving with lessons that just affect them, whether they become stewards of the environment, whether they become biologists or whatever down the road. I'm sure it affects foresters, what have you. It's really good stuff. What about the
Yeah.
OAC did we miss, Kyle? Did we want to talk about before I jump back to Jake?
I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't say how much I appreciate the Nature Reliance School being, a strong advocate for this program. And that was even before, I started taking classes through NRS. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're putting it out there on social media. Hopefully if you're listening to this, know that this is a program for anybody from 13 to through that end of 4-H age, which is 18 years old by I think January 1st of that incoming year. So it's for anybody in that age group. Um, to learn some of those skills. Hopefully the goal, the end goal is to be able to do it twice a year and have kind of a level one and a level two where we offer the
Oh yeah.
opportunity to stay outside instead of in a cabin. Right now we stay in cabins, which is great because
Hmm.
it makes them feel more comfortable, even though
Sure.
we're putting them in uncomfortable situations. We want to open it up to let them stay outside and get that real environment, that real natural kind of feel to it.
Yeah, and I think for people listening, um, take take a cue from these guys and how they do programming. There's a lot of research that goes into if you're going to introduce your kiddos, because there might be some people that, hey, they might live in California, they can't make it to these things that you are talking about. One of the things I highly recommend is don't feel like you have to take your spouse, your kids, whoever, and just throw them in the woods and expect them to enjoy it, because they're not going to.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong at all in having a cabin, and if that's too much for you, then get a hotel room and spend the day out
Mhm.
and go back to the hotel room, and then
Yeah.
slowly but surely remove some of these comfort factors when you're training and bringing your kids
Mhm.
up, or bringing a spouse. If you're a hunter, for example, and your spouse has never hunted or done anything outdoors, and you just come home and drop a bunch of squirrels on the kitchen table, they're not going to be too pleased with it. So there's
Yeah.
got to be some sort of transition, and 4-H is a great way to introduce these topics to kiddos, and it sounds like for Jake's program, the Homesteading program, some of the adults as well. Let's
Mhm.
jump back to that, Jake, if you want to, since I kind of jumped into it earlier. Tell me about the 60th anniversary.
Sure thing. I know I do want to cycle back later on about that table and squirrel story. I do feel like there is some experience there that you need to share with us. But anyway, the 60th is fantastic. It's coming up here in May, Saturday, May 10th. We'll have a 60th anniversary celebration for North Central 4-H Camp. We're hoping to have some food trucks be out here. We're even working on getting some live music. We're going to host a pretty, what we hope to be a sizable silent auction. Our county offices, our extension offices, are donating county baskets that can be bid on. We have friends and family that have already sent donations our way for this event. We'll be very excited to get people on site and celebrate 60 awesome years of camping here at North Central. And there's so many people that this place has impacted, that I hope it's a great turnout for the event, and we can all just feel the camp magic there that day and celebrate 60 years of camp magic.
And it's been
We
at
hope
that
to invite.
same location, Jake, where you're located right now. It's been in the same location the whole time.
Yes, sir. We recently came into some documents that told us about the founding of this place and the
Oh wow.
committee that made it happen and the year, and that's why we were able to host the 60th, because we came into possession of these
Nice.
documents. And yeah, we have old blueprints and everything, maps of the place back from the 1965, and it's phenomenal.
Golly, that's really cool. That's really cool. All right, that
Yeah.
sounds fantastic. Baskets. What's going to be in these baskets you mentioned?
All kinds of stuff. We're getting things ranging from acoustic guitars to passes to some kind of escape rooms, things like that.
Dude.
Even some, yeah, across the board. And then, county specific stuff. So maybe Clark County, just throwing it out there since you are from Clark, maybe we get an Ale 8 basket. I don't know. Something that represents the county would be very cool too, but not required.
Right. Okay. That sounds good. That
Uh,
sounds real good.
yeah.
I'll see what I can do. I might have something to donate as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Kyle, tell us about the fundraiser, the
Yeah.
CB
Yeah.
fundraiser.
Yeah. First, I'd like to say, anybody and everybody should come out to the North Central because um, 60th anniversary. That camp did single-handedly turn me into the person I am today. I will say that. Um, but the Country Boy fundraiser, it's going to be located at the Georgetown Country Boy facility on April 19th. This is a fundraiser where a typical kind of school fundraiser type event where we will get a certain percentage of what's sold that day. And that money is actually going towards all 4-H camps to help, with programming and facility needs and things like that we continuously have. So all the money is going to go into each camp's pocket to use or through their foundation pocket and use towards, anything that they need really. It's kind of just a fundraiser to make money for camps, get people out and have a good time, and really just an appreciation for all camps. But then we get to come together in May and really appreciate what North Central's been able to do over the past 60 years, including but not limited to, Jake, if you want to talk about it, the environmental camp that's been going on at that camp for 25 plus years.
So let me ask a real quick question about that, Kyle. So you mentioned that it's a foundation. So any of these donations that people are making are tax deductible?
Correct. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So the foundation, the Kentucky 4-H Foundation, is a nonprofit 501(c)(3). So all donations, and you can make donations online, you can make donations at the event, however you would like. But we are putting together a little event there. A lot of the people that started Country Boy have a camp connection.
Mm-hmm.
Evan, who is one of the owners at Country Boy, he worked on staff at West Kentucky 4-H Camp. The guy who runs events, his name's Mason. He worked on staff at West and Feltner. DH went to Feltner. A lot of people that are associated with Country Boy have a camp passion. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we brought up this idea, we were like, we want to do this for all four, and it just so happened to lay in a perfect time as well.
Yep. So you mentioned the two other camps that we haven't talked about. There's
Mhm.
Feltner. Where's that located?
So there's J.M. Feltner 4-H Camp, which is in London, Kentucky, and then West Kentucky 4-H Camp, which is in Dawson Springs, Kentucky.
Okay.
So
Great. Okay. Cool.
yeah.
All right. Let's get into anything to cover on those topics, guys, before I get into basically talking about camp experiences and stuff.
I will say Kyle brought up that environmental camp here that we offer at North Central.
Yeah.
So in the spring and the fall season, in both of those seasons, we offer about 8 weeks of environmental camp programming. And what that looks like is fourth and fifth grade teachers will work with their 4-H agent to work with us, and they'll come out and bring their classroom for an overnight environmental camp experience. And so it's a one night overnight where the teacher and class get to come out and spend this time together out in the woods. It's a bonding experience, but it's also meant to teach environmental sciences since in fourth grade they test environmental science and the next generation science standards, and so we focus heavily on that. And then also fifth grade does a little bit with some extracurricular science as well that we teach. But it's a great experience. A lot of people in Central Kentucky have gone through this experience as a kid, and they still remember their environmental camp experience to this day. It's pretty impactful. You call in owls, you learn about constellations, all kinds of environmental science, tree
What?
ID.
You call in
Oh yeah.
owls?
We
Yeah.
call in owls.
Can a 56-year-old director of Nature Reliance School show up for that too? I
Yeah.
love owls,
Absolutely.
man. Owls are my
Yeah.
jam, dude. I love checking out owls.
Yeah, in the
Those,
past couple years, we've recently had a resurgence of great horned owls, and it's been phenomenal. We hadn't had
Nice.
them for a while.
I think one of them was tracking Jake and I when we were at Survival 2.
Was it really?
Yeah. There was one like literally like right behind where we were sleeping, just like
Wouldn't let
Oh
us
wow.
sleep.
doing his thing.
He didn't want you all to sleep. He's the third
Yeah.
instructor or fourth instructor at Nature
Yeah.
Reliance School that weekend.
Just keeping us all honest. So,
All right, let's talk about camp in general, guys.
mhm.
Because you all have mentioned a couple of times that people can come and, I mean, different organizations like Nature Reliance School, for example, could come and rent your all's facilities and utilize them as well. Tell us about that. Kyle, you want to start us off what it's like to do that? And Jake, anything
Yeah.
you want to jump in on? We'll just talk to both of you on this topic.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
I mean, the first contact, is either through email or a phone call or something like that, or they hear about us through word of mouth, or they have a program that they already have and they just want a facility to be able to run that program. So, they fill out the same paperwork everybody does, that goes over the guidelines and everything and their insurance form and everything else, and sign up for dates. obviously that they have to put a deposit down to get those dates secured, but otherwise, I mean, anybody and everybody, as long as you fill out the paperwork, you're good to go.
And
But
what
yeah,
kind of
I'll kind of
organizations have you guys seen at your camps, Jake? You want to tell us about some of the folks? If you can, if it's sensitive, don't share. But what kind of
Sure. I'll leave
organizations
it.
have come out and used it?
Absolutely. I'll leave it a little vague. We get church groups, we get school groups, we get company retreats that come out here for some team building, things like that. Um, Situations like Kentucky Fish and Wildlife plan to use us to talk about a planned burn in the grass fields and some wooded areas out here to fight off invasives. So
Hmm.
we're very excited to work with Kentucky Fish and Wildlife on that front. Um, it's really a wide array of individuals and diverse communities that use our facilities across the state, all four camps.
Would that be the same for you too, Kyle? Anybody
yeah.
different jump out at you?
No, I mean that pretty much sums it up right there, actually.
Okay,
Yeah, which
good.
is
And let me say this, guys, because this can be confusing. And well, I'll ask this and say this. When you are talking about camp, we've talked about environmental camp, we've talked about outdoor adventure camp, and now I wanted to ask you all about summer camp. It's not just the facility. There are different things that all get classified as a camp, but summer camp is a thing that's different that a lot of people know about, right?
mhm.
So
Absolutely.
Kyle, won't you tell us about summer camp, and then Jake, you can tell us about summer camp up at North Central.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, we have 20 counties that come here
Hey, Kyle,
ranging.
let me interrupt you real quick.
Okay.
We haven't said the name of your camp enough. Let's say it again. Lake Cumberland, right?
Lake Cumberland 4-H camp.
Okay.
So we are on a 1,500-acre property here. Where I'm at right now is the lodge, and then the camp is on kind of the south end of the property. Um, we run a 9-week session starting with Memorial Day, going to the second to last week in July. And we'll have anywhere from 1 to 4 counties in here at a time. And those counties bring campers that have signed up, paid to come to camp, sign up for classes like canoeing, kayaking, archery, riflery, duct tape art, aerial, ribbon stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
everything in between.
And
And they
it's
get to
dirt time
come.
too, right? I mean, these kids aren't just going to sit around and play with crafts, which is good and important. I'm not, when I say play, I think that's good.
No,
They're going to get dirt under their fingernails sometimes too, and they're going to get wet and stuff like that.
yeah, that's kind of the point. Get them
Yeah.
outside in this fun environment and show them that getting uncomfortable every once in a while isn't a bad thing. Um,
Nice.
you know, and I know Jake knows it, from doing field games when it's muddy and wet, and it doesn't, these kids are having a blast. And as educational as it is, it's just as much fun. And we keep it obviously as safe as possible.
Sure.
So, but it's a great atmosphere. The kids are singing, they're enjoying themselves. The adults and teens, they're along with them doing it. So it's really a whole just community of people that come in here for 5 days, have a great time. And then the immortal words of Matthew McConaughey and his small child who goes to summer camp, I want to go somewhere, learn some cool stuff, and meet new people. And that's what we do.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what role, because I know a lot of people want to know this, what role do cell phones play at camp?
Well, here lately, I didn't know if you wanted to take that one, Jake.
I
Um,
sure can.
Go
Go
ahead. It don't
ahead.
matter which one of you
Go
hits it.
ahead.
Just tell me about it. What's it like? I mean, because I know I get this question all the time about our courses. I know you all do for camp. Jake,
Mhm.
you raise your hand. You want to hit this? Tell us, because it legitimately is a concern for a lot of parents that are, can they stay connected to their children?
Mhm.
And what do you do to help these kids overcome their connection that a lot of them have now? And I'm seriously not trying to be funny, guys. I mean, it's a legitimate thing. What are you guys doing to help people overcome this digital connection?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It's really escalated, and I think honestly crescendoed since COVID. A lot of the helicopter parent mentalities, always wanting to call and talk to their child every day or so. But we do have a pretty strict policy about that. You can't call the camp office and talk to your child on the camp phone. You need to go through your 4-H agent for any communications back home to the parent. That will just allow the camper to actually enjoy their experience and try to be a little bit independent, but it also helps kind of break away from that needing to talk to mom or dad or your guardian as frequently as you do. Campers aren't really supposed to have cell phones here at camp.
Mhm.
The agents cover that in their camp orientations. You're not supposed to bring your cell phone to camp. Now, some of the counselors that the counties will bring their cell phones for communication amongst the cabins and things like that. Talking about the schedule or talking about responsibilities that counselors need to do. So counselors can have them, and of course, staff and camp employees need them to work out logistics from day to day. But no, as far as campers are concerned, no cell phones.
It's the
Yeah.
environment. We're
That's
focused on
right.
the environment. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's probably a good segue if you don't care to run with it, Jake. Can you walk us through what's a daily, what happens on a day at camp? Or Kyle, either
Oh yeah.
one. What happens there?
I tell you, a day in camp can be as different as the next. That's for sure. There's so many variables, like I was talking about, when you work with this age group of 9 to 14, and every week kind of brings their own flavor of camp with them. And so some weeks have their traditions, some weeks have their stories that they like to tell, things like that. And so, and then the programs that they bring in by the county as well also change the flavor of the week. So your standard day, you're going to wake up to a loud siren here at North Central anyway, and you'll get up to the flagpole for flag raising. You'll do the pledge to the American flag and the 4-H pledge, and then you'll head on down to breakfast. And then we'll typically have a cleanup crew, the KP duty or kitchen party. They'll clean down the tables and sweep up the floors and things like that. Following breakfast is typically our first few classes of the day, and so campers can sign up for classes here at camp. We offer things from archery to canoeing to kayaking to the rock wall and zip line, swimming and things like that. A lot of recreational based activities, and we have a lot of nature based activities. So they'll go through classes up until lunch. They'll eat lunch, and then in the afternoon, it's a big time. Half camp is at the pool, and then the other half camp is typically doing some kind of full group event. So we have a lot of different programs that we fill in that afternoon slot, and a lot of county groups will bring in their own programs as well. After that, we've got dinner, and then after dinner is our big full camp event. Typically, that can be things like Kyle mentioned, field games or water Olympics or swamp monster or carnival. It's a full camp activity where everybody kind of gets to be with their team and cheer for their team and compete in these things for their team. And then we head off to the country store after that and do a little souvenir shopping. And it goes right into what we call Sally Down the Alley. If you've never heard of what Sally Down the Alley is, if you're a 4-H person, you're shaking your head like, oh, yeah, here we go. Sally Down the Alley is awesome. It's in the evenings and we play some music. And it sounds odd if you've never heard of it before, but all you do is we got the fellows in a middle circle and all the ladies on the outside. And they got to cross the aisle to ask in their own circles. And they say, will you Sally with me? You grab them by the hand and you skip in a circle to the music. And that sounds really weird out loud. I know it. But the environment, it gets going up there. Everybody's having a great time. They're letting loose. They're coming out of their shells and really
Nice.
taking a leap, taking a leap. And it's awesome to see these campers that have been very quiet and reserved come out and really just have a ball. And you see that smile
Right.
come across their face.
So you mentioned something I would like to accent a little bit. You do the pledge to the flag every morning and the 4-H pledge. For those that are not familiar with 4-H, Kyle, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Mhm.
Can you recite the pledge?
Yeah, I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world.
Woo!
Boom, son, he nailed it.
Boom.
Put him on the spot
Nailed it.
even.
Yeah.
Hey, in all seriousness, when I first started coaching black powder shooting sports for 4-H, it was one of my most favorite things. The first time I ever went, I went to a meeting, just a general meeting as a coach, as a volunteer coach. And the first thing we did was pledge the flag, and then we did the 4-H pledge, which I quite frankly, my kids did not do a lot of 4-H growing up. So it wasn't something I had a lot of experience with. I didn't do it. I was on the farm, I was a farm boy.
Mhm.
I was in the woods hunting. So, with that said, I absolutely love that. I love it that we're focused on our country. I'm glad we're focused on ourselves and our families and everything. It's just that's good. Thank you for sharing that, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on, guys. It seems like if I can read you all, that you all seem pretty well connected to 4-H programming and what have you. What what makes you all so deeply invested in what it is that's happening at camps? Kyle, we'll ask you first.
Um, eh, I would say impact. What the impact that camps have, that it's had on me, um, and knowing that that impact has led me to where I am today, sitting here having this conversation about being a camp director. Um, I want to instill that same level of passion into every person that comes through these gates. And I know Jake would agree with me on that, that we want to make sure that the incoming group of people that are coming into our camps are leaving with that same level of passion that, you know, we left with when we went home and couldn't wait to come back. That's the impact. And that impact keeps going, and they get involved in the county level, in the state level, and even at the collegiate level with collegiate 4-H, they can stay in those programs. So, and camp, for a lot of people, including myself, was the only program that I really focused on when I was in 4-H, and so it just became a part of who I was. It became part of my DNA, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Similar answer
So,
for you, Jake.
Yeah, and I'll even tag on to that as well. 4-H camp has kind of been mentioned as the flagship program for Kentucky 4-H as a whole. People from all across your community will come to camp, but like Kyle said, maybe they're only doing camp, but camp it gets their foot in the door with 4-H, and it opens their eyes to the possibilities of, oh, what hobbies could I do that I did at camp and love so much that maybe I can do back at home and learn these skills and learn these hobbies and gain this experience, and try to bring that camp magic back to their community. That's what we really like to see is, when you're at camp, you're in a bubble. You make these relationships, and you really can feel that camp magic. And so what we always encourage, our closing night or our closing week campfires, a lot of the times we say, take that camp magic back to your communities and spread it, because the world needs more of it. And that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And
mm,
so, one of the things I think you guys are good at as well is developing leaders. What kind of leadership qualities come out of these camps, or how does that manifest itself with these kiddos, and how do you all specifically make that grow? What are you all doing for that? Either one of
I,
you. Go ahead,
I
Kyle.
think, I mean, even from a staff position all the way down to, our campers, we teach those basic living skills, and with our staff, we teach them leadership through, you know, show me how it is you want to be a leader. How do you want to lead this group? Giving them the skills, like if you run into this situation, what are you going to do? Because I'm not going to be standing right next to you. So it's about taking them one step at a time in this scaffolded type learning environment and teaching them how to be a leader and how to take charge of a situation, even when it's a situation that happens at a moment's notice and you have to make split second decisions. All the way down to our campers, where we're teaching them how to clean up a cabin, how to take care of themselves, make your bed at the beginning of the day. That way, you're not getting into a bed that's messy and you got to deal with at the end of the day. So, and everything in between, our counselors being in charge and sort of this loco parentis of children that are coming through our camps, and they have to teach them and like guide them through their leadership skills that they learned within their county, through their 4-H agent. So it's a lot of people play a huge part in building the leadership skills that we have at camp. And a lot of our staff come from the county level. We do get staff that come from out of state and from different parts of camping that give great insight uh, into camping. But it starts at every single level, from the camper on up to the staff member, teaching those leadership skills as they grow and build up into those positions.
Jake, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think so. The best camp activity I can think of that really targets leadership is low ropes or the challenge course. And in that, there's a series of elements and obstacles where your team has to overcome them together. And so we do something just called a debrief at the end of each element. We talk about what went right, what went wrong, who was leading, who was following, why was that a good thing? We make them think about those situations, and we make them think about their teamwork, and it pulls out who was leading, who was following, and their reasonings behind that. Kyle mentioned it a minute ago, but we do a lot of retention. Our campers will grow up to be junior counselors and then adult counselors, and then they'll try to get on staff at camp staff. And our camp staff are really the big leaders here. They teach our classes. They're responsible for facilitating all of our programs and any emergency situations that take place. And so when we see those campers that have come through camp be on staff, it's very meaningful for us as the
Sure.
people that have seen them do that. And then now they're leaders here on your team.
Right. And
You
both
mean
you
somebody
guys.
who knew? I knew Jake when he was 9 years old. That story he told, I was on staff when that story happened.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That is
Yeah,
cool. That's
that
really cool.
thunderstorm story, I remember that day, and it was a lot of fun for you
Nice.
all.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fantastic, man. That and it is one of the things that I've been really impressed with 4-H extension and all the programming. You mentioned it, but I would like to say this. I think Jake said it. I think it was either Jake or Kyle. I can't remember, but I think it was Jake. So you come to camp and you learn a little bit about tracking. You can go back to extension service, and there's probably something happening with sewing, black powder shooting, archery, name some of the others that are happening in the extension offices, guys. What else is happening there?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we had kids from camp, when I was an agent, come in and go and do, they wanted to start an entomology club
Hmm,
because of being a nature class at camp. They were like, we want to do an entomology club. We want to do,
nice.
a tree identification club or something along those lines. They go back to the county and they want to do those things. So they get involved in shooting sports. So they get involved in more maybe the family and consumer sciences side, where they're learning how to make things through sewing or through other methods. So it's all about taking that, like Jake said, taking those lessons you learned at camp and then implementing them in your county. And if you don't have this program, like say you had a passion for rock climbing and you went to camp, you got to zip line, you go back and there's, Kentucky is very well known for rock climbing. Um, and we have all kinds of rock climbing gyms in and around, especially our larger metropolitan areas. So they can get involved in things like that just by going to the extension office and saying, I want to start this program. I want to get this going. And we typically, the 4-H agents will find leaders and have leaders that are also have an invested interest in it. And then that's how things like that get started.
Nice. Well, we're running up close to an hour here, guys. So let's close it up a little bit. Big question, sort of. Why why does this matter? Why does 4-H camp, getting kids outdoors, why is it important?
Jake, you're the wordsmith.
That's fair. I'm telling you, Craig, it feels more important than ever that it happens, that camp exists. After COVID, everybody was kind of secluded, isolated, but camp is a place that you can come and find community. And if you can't find community at home due to your own circumstances, or if you can't find community in your actual community, camp will always be a place that you can find community, no matter what, whether it's just somebody singing a silly song or that you think is funny, or whether you really dive deep and make a meaningful connection. And so, um, it is so important that these kids and this youth in this state get out in the woods, get out together, and learn how to work together as a team, because that's the only way we're really pushing through all of this. So
Right.
it's extremely valuable. And it just, once again, a little biased probably, but I'm speaking from my own past experiences. Camp has entirely warped and changed my life, in my opinion, for the better. It's made me see the good in people. It's made me see how people can work together regardless of any kind of difference. It's just a really great organization.
All right, guys. So I'm going to have links for your all's individual camps as well as your email contacts in the description for everybody listening. They'll be down at the bottom. But what other kind of ways can people connect with 4-H camps and stuff of that nature? Go ahead, Jake.
All right, I'm just going to take this one really quick because I want to do a plug for our extension agents out there. If you are an adult and you would like to volunteer to come to camp for a week, agents desperately need adult volunteers to come to camp. If they don't come to camp, the kids do not come to camp. So get with your county extension office, see if they need your help. They probably do more often than not. And so if you can volunteer your time, it's for a great cause, and you get to come to camp and have a lot of these awesome experiences. And not only that, your presence at camp helps all these campers come to camp.
All right. Simple question. But you just said something that, quite frankly, I think people get confused about. Let's say the average person, somebody lives in, let's say they live in Madison County, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
What do they Google to find their extension office in Madison County, Kentucky?
Yeah. Madison.ca.uky.edu, or you can just Google Madison County KY Extension Office, and that will take you to the extension office. The extension agent there is Scott Darst, and he will, or one of the extension
Man, I didn't
agents.
know it was Scott. I shouldn't have brought
Yeah,
Madison
you
County
just
up.
you just pointed one out right there.
He will be listening, and he will be so happy that I brought up Madison
Yeah,
County.
yeah, you have
Let's
no
say that we
idea.
want to do Garrett County.
Oh God,
Uh,
why? No, I mean, you get in touch with your 4-H agent. Typically, they're on every single one of their websites. They'll have a deadline. They'll have the application. They'll have everything that you need to come to summer camp, or if they have programs. I know, for example, they have retreats at North Central for C1 through C4, and different teen retreats or different things like that. And that all goes through, like Jake said, those 120 extension offices that we have spread out throughout the entire state. Um, but for camp specifically, you reach out to us with an idea and a program that you want to do here, and we'll make it happen. Um, any Basically anything, as long as it falls within the guidelines of UK policy and procedure, we
Sure.
can make it happen.
Yeah, and I should say, not to leave people that are listening in outside the joke when we brought up Scott. I mean, and it's funny, but it's serious. I didn't know Scott until we did outdoor adventure camp at Lake Cumberland.
Oh yeah.
So we did outdoor adventure camp together. He was there, I was there, and now he's just one of the guys that I know, and he knows me, and we're friends and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a way that I, as an adult, as a volunteer, have gone out and met somebody that I didn't know until I volunteered to help at an outdoor adventure camp. And now Scott and I are, he'll send me animal scat in an email or a track or some craziness, So, but yeah, it's seriously, I mean, we're talking about kids, but since we brought up adult volunteers, you're going to go as an adult volunteer, you're going to be better for it after you leave, and you're going to develop friendships with other people. I am such good friends with the coaches at shooting sports here in Clark County. I mean, I talk to them all the time. I mean, and I wouldn't know 2 or 3 of those dudes without being a 4-H black powder shooting coach. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. All right, guys, I think that's it, unless there's something else about camp we want to talk about.
No, I just want to say I appreciate you, Craig, taking the time, obviously, to interview us, but also the time that we've been able to go through Nature Reliance classes. They're always amazing.
Yeah, man, we got a good connection, don't we?
Yeah.
I'm a master naturalist, so I've got that connection with UK, and then I've done a lot with shooting sports, obviously here in Clark County, and then several of you guys have come through classes now. It's a real symbiotic relationship, and I'm really thankful for it because it's just going really well. I will say this to embarrass these guys, these 4-H guys, they always come to class and they always do two things. They always have fun and they always are good leaders. And I think that is exactly what they're doing at these camps. They do it all the time. And I'm not just saying that because they're on the podcast here. They actually present themselves as that. They don't pretend, they are that. They're fun to be around and they're great leaders. So seek these guys out. I'm going to have links for their emails and their websites down below for them specifically, and extension services in general for everybody, so that you can do one click. Just go there and click you all, so you can go right to them. And I think that's it, guys, unless there's something else y'all want to say.
I will say one last thing, and that's the community I was talking about at camp. I will say that I also get the same sense of community through Nature Reliance School. It's the people are there for the right reasons, by and large, and they really do. Everybody pitches in, everybody helps out, and that's exactly the type of community I'm talking about. It's just good people at Nature Reliance School, and it really does remind me of that camp magic.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to try this. All right, you all weren't expecting this. I'm going to go first. Jake, you're second.
Okay.
And then Kyle, you're third. Ready? Come on.
Pitch in.
Oh, come on, Jake. Oh my gosh. All right.
Join in.
Yes. All right. Can we start over?
Yes,
Do
please.
you have the final part, Kyle? Please tell me.
Yeah. Let's learn together.
Hang on. Shh. Here we go. Come on.
Join in.
Let's learn together.
There it is. Thanks, guys.